Are you ready to embrace aging with vitality and purpose? Welcome to Essential Wellness. I'm your host, Dr. Mikel Segal. Let's dive in. Hi, and welcome everyone. And today our very special guest is Dr. Michelle Quirk, and she is a pediatrician and running coach. So welcome, Michelle.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. I'm excited for our conversation. So maybe just start by telling our listeners a little bit about yourself, about your background, and how you ended up becoming a running coach and pediatrician.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe the most important thing to say is that I was not always a runner. I
Mhm.
was a kid who really struggled with running, and I used to look at the cross country team and the track team and think that they were made of different genetics than I was. So I was
Yeah.
not a kid who really ran. I was active, I danced. I always liked movement, but I never thought running was available to me. And I wanted to run and I would see my friends run, but I always really struggled with it. So I'll fast forward a little bit
Mhm.
to the end of my residency. So I am a pediatrician. My first job out of residency, I was a hospitalist. I was working a lot of nights and weekends. It was just a tough time, finishing residency, being a new physician, moved to a new place. I was newly married, all of these changes all at once. And my dad was diagnosed with cancer and passed away shortly after that. And I felt very lost. And I know now I have the word burnout, but at the time I did not know that that was what was happening. But I really credit running with saving me and keeping me in medicine for the long haul, because that was really when I started running more regularly. And it was really just time for me to be alone with my thoughts and just sort through all that was going on. And I started just I dug out my running sneakers from the closet and I went 5 minutes around the block. And I thought, if I can just do 5 minutes, we'll start there and we'll build from there. And that was always my advice to my patients about getting them moving. And so I just took some of my own advice and I worked up from 5 minutes to 10 to 15 and got my husband to sign up for a 5K with me. And that was 13 years ago. So we've come a
Wow.
long way since then, and
Yeah.
marathons and coaching and all of these things, but that was
Wow.
really the beginning of it. Yeah.
Okay, that's super interesting. So what you said, you mentioned like you struggled with running as a kid. So what made you all of a sudden decide to pull out those running shoes and start?
Yeah, I think it was really a turning point. I was talking to a family in the middle of the night in the ER, and I had this sort of moment where I was talking about healthy habits and good nutrition and getting enough sleep and exercise. And I just had this moment you're giving this advice, but you're not taking any of it yourself. And all of these things were happening, and my dad was sick, and I wasn't sleeping very well, and I wasn't really doing much exercise. And it just popped into my head in that moment, your running sneakers are collecting dust in the
Mhm.
closet. Why don't you just put those on? It was summertime, beautiful weather to be outside. So I think I just had that moment standing there, well, that's an easy in. It doesn't really require much equipment, and I already have everything I need. So just put the shoes on and start. And that's what I did.
That's funny. Yeah, it's funny. It's your brain offered you this vision of your running shoes in the closet. I love that.
Yeah, I came home, I slept after the shift, and then I put the shoes on. Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
And I
that's
just started, 3 times a week, worked up to maybe 4 or 5 times a week, and just very short spurts of running with a lot of walking mixed in. And I sort
Mhm.
of changed what I thought was a runner in my mind. I thought if you're a runner, you never walk, or that
Mhm.
you have to be fast, all of these
Right
thoughts
idea.
that I had in my head. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I don't run as much as I used to, but I used to run a lot. I mean, I still, I guess, consider myself a runner, but
Yeah.
definitely not doing as much running as I used to. But that's the one thing that, well, there's many things I love about running, but definitely the idea that all you need is your running shoes and you can just be it, you can get ready and be out running within like minutes, which
Yep.
is, I always like simple and easy. That works for me. So that was
Yeah. There's a low barrier to entry.
yeah, exactly. So that's definitely one of the things that I enjoy about running. So tell me, so what do you do with running now? How do you use it in your coaching and in your personal life?
Well, I think so. I had no idea that I would end up becoming a run coach like when I started running, and
Yeah,
half marathons and marathons were not really on my radar at the beginning. I kind of worked up to the longer distances over time.
yeah,
And yeah, it was like a stepwise approach. Like after I ran my first half marathon, I thought, well, I wonder if I could do a marathon. That would be a really great
yeah.
challenge. And after I ran the first marathon, I felt like I crossed the finish line and I became some sort of running evangelist. Like, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I want to shout from the rooftops, everyone should go run a marathon. It will change your life. I don't think everyone needs to go and run a marathon. If you want to, that's great.
Yeah.
But I think for me that it was just a big change in me, something I thought I could never do. And then I accomplished this goal. And I thought, again, like if I can do it, lots of other people can do it. There were all of these things that held me back, but they were mostly thoughts in my own head about what a runner is and what a marathoner is and all of these things. And so I started writing some training plans for like friends and family just for fun.
Yeah.
And that sort of segued into finding my way as a running coach and starting Mindful Marathon, which is my coaching business. And now I'm about to start my 6th year of coaching. So I've
Wow.
coached a lot of people along the way.
Amazing. What are some of the most inspiring stories that you've come across in your coaching?
I think really it's watching people progress.
Mhm.
Again, like people who were like me, who maybe thought, well, let me just try a 5K. I've always wanted to do some running and get my family involved. And then like shortly after, it's like, well, if I could do that, I'm going to sign up for a half marathon or I'm going to sign up for a marathon, and things that people just never thought that they would do. I mean, it's not an overnight thing, but some of my clients I've been coaching now for 5 years, and they take breaks from different races, but different goals pop into people's heads. And yeah, like I had a lady who worked with me and qualified for the Boston Marathon. And
Wow.
yeah, like and again, like when we started working together, maybe that wasn't really on the radar, but as time passes and training works the way it works, your speed progresses if you follow the training plan. And so other goals become more available. But
Mhm.
I also love how many of my runners bring their family along for the ride. So I mostly coach a lot of women. I've coached some men as well, but yeah, it's like they sign up for a race and then maybe their partner or their kids will sign up for a shorter distance where they'll all get to do it together. And
Yeah,
I'm
that's
a
fun.
pediatrician, of course, that's near and dear to my heart.
Right.
When the whole family gets out there and everybody is getting a medal and having fun.
Yeah, fun. Okay, and we wanted to talk, like we'll shift gears now because we wanted to talk about just movement in general and kind of all the benefits of that and just how to kind of, as a beginner who may be interested in running, how to approach that.
I think my best advice, let me give 3 tips. I think start where you are, and with what you like.
Mm,
So, if the thought of running does not sound appealing, that's okay. Like pick what works for you. I have a lot of people who start as very avid walkers and then work their way into running using like run walk intervals.
mm,
Basically, that means you walk for a set period of time and then jog for a short period of time and walk, jog, walk, jog. And that could be anything from like 10 to 15 seconds of jogging. And then you can call yourself a runner. It's okay. So I
mhm.
have a lot of people who start out as walkers and
Yeah.
start that way, but pick what you like, because that is the thing that is going to get you out of bed early in the morning, and get you to tie on your sneakers and do the activity that you like. So start where you are and start with what you love. And then second piece of advice would be if you're starting with running or any new workout routine, start low and go slow. So that
Yeah.
means like you don't want to go out there and run as far and as fast as you can. I think that was a big mistake that I made all of the times that I tried to run and it
Mhm.
didn't stick, because I thought, well, if my friend down the street can do 5 miles, why can't I just go out and run 2 or 3 and it's no big deal? But I would go out and run like a bear was chasing me and come back red in the face, huffing and puffing like this. Everything hurts. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, start low, go slow. And like I said, I started with 5 minutes. So if you're a regular walker, you can just work in these running intervals and kind of work up nice and slow. I think that's a good piece of advice. And then third would be, I think your most important piece of gear is your sneakers. So if you want to start running, that's really the one piece of equipment I would go to your local running store and get fitted for a pair of sneakers, because people always ask me like, well, what sneakers do you wear? What should I get? And my favorite and what works for me is not always going to be your favorite, and what works for your foot shape and size and your running experience if you've had any injuries or things like that. So there's a lot that goes into picking the sneaker, and that's like your one most important piece of gear. So I would invest in that one.
Yes, I agree. I just bought a pair of running shoes for my daughter at our local running store. And anyways, they looked me up. I said, oh, I've been coming here a very long time, like longer than I want to admit, because it's like where it's my go-to store, yeah, for any kind of running shoes.
Yeah. And I would also say too, for people out there, like I was intimidated to go to a running store, but most often I have found that everybody is very friendly. Runners like to have other people come into the sport. So if you're a newer runner, don't be afraid, and they will give you the tools that you need to get started, and you can try on a bunch of different kinds. And most stores have a treadmill that you can, try them out on before you take them home for a spin.
Yeah, that's good advice. I mean, as a physician and as a running coach, what do you think are the best, let's see, what do people gain by starting to run in terms of their wellness and well-being? And what have you personally noticed? And what do you know as a physician, what that brings to people?
Yeah, I think we could talk about the health benefits first, but those are all great, right? Like we know that cardiovascular risk goes down with aerobic exercise. So things like heart attacks and strokes and risk of high blood pressure, all of those things are decreased in runners. Mental health benefits. So there are lots of benefits, including like a lower risk of Alzheimer's and dementia in runners, which is great. Lower risk of diabetes. So all of these are wonderful health benefits. But what I hear my runners saying, like my runners aren't saying like, oh, my blood pressure is lower or
Mm.
my
They're not
resting heart rate is lower, unless
yeah,
they're physicians and they geek out with their Garmin watch like me.
right.
Most people are telling me that they feel better on the day to day. They're sleeping better, they're
Yeah,
waking up feeling refreshed, they are having more patience with their spouse, their partner, their coworkers, they're less irritable.
yeah,
They just are happier. And I don't know if it's all of the wonderful hormones that are released when we're running, but runners tend to be in a good mood a lot of the time. I mean, not all the time, but
yeah.
that's
But
what my runners tell me, and that's how I feel too. So all of the on paper benefits are wonderful, but I think it's how you feel on the day to day.
yeah, oh, for sure. I would say, yeah, the mental health benefits are the probably number one positive effect that people would notice and really benefit from.
Maybe also the community
Yeah.
that you build along the way. So I think that's a wonderful side effect of running, especially if you have local friends or a run group, and you like to run with others. Having the community of friends. I have a group of friends who love Run Disney races, and so we usually,
Oh,
it's a great form of peer pressure. Like we end up
yeah,
signing up for these
right.
races, and we meet up and have a wonderful time. And
Yeah.
yeah, we've done lots of other destination races with friends and family. So I think the community benefits are also really wonderful.
What are the Run Disney events? I'm not familiar with those.
Oh, the Run Disney events are very fun. Let me warn you though, it's sort of a gateway drug. So if you
Oh,
go and do
okay.
one, they're like super fun.
Yeah.
There are a
I'll do
number
the
of
other one.
like race weekends. So there's right now that I think there's 4 race weekends in Disney World, and there's a couple in Disneyland, but they
Yeah.
have a theme. So like there's a princess themed one, and then marathon weekend in January. Usually it's like the classic characters, but they put on a very wonderful race. I'm not affiliated with them at all, and the races are
Right.
extremely expensive, but they put on a wonderful
Okay. You
race,
get
very well
traffic.
supported.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Fun.
Yes. Super fun and very beginner friendly. So
Yeah.
if you are doing a longer distance and it's your first one, very friendly toward slower runners, run walkers.
Yes.
Yes.
Those ones tend to be. We have one in British Columbia. Well, I'm sure there's even more than one, but in the winery area where people go from winery to winery along the marathon. So again, very beginner friendly.
Yes. And in Disney, you can, if you're not worried about your time, you can stop. They have characters on the course that you can take pictures with, and it's a really great time.
That's fun. Yeah, sounds fun. Okay, so what else? Is there anything else that we should discuss that we haven't kind of touched on?
I think we talked beforehand. I'm really passionate about getting people moving. So if we could leave you with one thing, really, even if you are not a runner, but find what it is that you love in terms of moving your body, because that will give you longevity in the long haul.
Yeah, agree. And I think I mentioned earlier before we started that I used to run quite a bit, but I've shifted a little bit because I find I still enjoy running. So I do run, but I really love walking. So I've kind of incorporated a little bit more walking into my workout routine because I love sometimes just a bit of a slower pace, but it's still, I'd still walk at a fair pace. I still get the benefits of being outside and nature. So I've shifted a little bit, and that enables me to sort of carry on. Yeah.
There are phases of life too. Like there, for those of you out there who maybe are in a period of rest from running, just know that it's always there. So I'm in the summer, I definitely do a little bit less running and more swimming and hiking and that kind of stuff. I mean, it's really hot here right now, so it's not always the most pleasant to be running outside, but just know that it's always there. It's okay if you take a long time off, and you can always find your way back to it.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, well, thanks. That's been really awesome to hear all about the wonderful things that you're doing. And if people want to find out more about you and what you do, how can they do that?
Yeah, probably the easiest place is my website. It's mindful-marathon.com. And I have a podcast as well. It's called the Mindful Marathon Podcast. So you can look it up wherever you're listening to this one. And follow me on Instagram. I'm at mindful.marathon.
Great. And we will definitely add those to the show notes. So thank you for that. Again, it's been so great to talk to you, and people I'm sure will be very interested to hear more about what you do and look you up. So thanks for talking today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, take care. Nice
You
chatting.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
That's it for another episode of Essential Wellness. If you are enjoying listening to this podcast, please subscribe, like, and share with others so everyone can find us. See you next time.